I didn't expect company. This was supposed to be my night. Quiet. Just me and maybe a spark I didn't have to name. But the second I felt Jack Carter close, his breath warm, too close, like a match struck in the dark, and heard another voice from the hall, I knew I wasn't alone anymore. And deep down, where the truth festers, I didn't want to be. I came to Monterey, California, for silence, or so I told myself. A hideaway, a cliffside inn, one of those top-floor suites with salt air and no questions, no plans, no demands, just the wind, the waves, and enough space to bury what I'd left behind in the dust of my rear view. But then I saw them. 3 men sprawled on the terrace like they owned the place. Jackets tossed aside, drinks in hand, voices low, lazy, like they were trading secrets over a poker game. I didn't expect anyone else here. Sure as hell not a crowd like that. The air shifted when our eyes met. Not fear, not nerves, but a pull, like a current dragging me under. I wasn't here to think. Not really. I wasn't here to heal. I was here because I needed to feel something that didn't numb me. I needed the kind of heat that burns clean through. I stepped onto my private balcony, the wind catching the edge of my shawl, whipping it like a flag of surrender. I adjusted it, slow, deliberate, letting the silk slide against my skin. One of them, Jack looked up mid-sentence. No smile, just a stare, sharp, like he'd already peeled back my layers and found something worth keeping. The others followed. Slower, less obvious, but their eyes held me. Nobody looked away. Their attention was a weight, heavy, alive, pinning me where I stood. I leaned against the railing, hair falling to one side as the sea breeze tugged at my dress, its hem dancing like it knew what I was playing at. I shifted, letting the wind wrap around me, cool against the heat rising in my chest. No words, no gestures, just presence. When I turned to go inside, I paused, half in shadow, half in their sight, glancing over my shoulder to meet Jack's eyes. Not a smile, not an invitation, just a look that said, I see you. Your move. My pulse hammered, betraying me, begging him to follow. I'd barely stepped inside when the side door slammed shut, soft but deliberate, like a lock clicking into place. Footsteps followed, light but steady on the old hardwood, each one a pulse in the quiet. I didn't need to turn. I knew it was Jack. The air thickened, charged, like the moment before a storm breaks. His presence filled the room, like he'd always belonged here, like he'd carved his name into the walls before I ever arrived. You always make an entrance like that, he asked, voice low, calm, curious, not mocking, but probing, like he was testing the edges of a blade. I reached for the glass on the table, swirled the wine, its red glow catching the light like blood, and took a sip. Depends on the night, I said. Behind me, the silence deepened, not empty but aware, like the room was holding its breath, waiting for me to slip. I set the glass down, turned just enough to see him. He stood by the door, hands in pockets, stance easy, but his eyes were locked on me, unyielding, like he saw every crack I tried to hide. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. I crossed the room, each step careful, the space between us heavy with unspoken promises. He didn't flinch, didn't move, his gaze a tether pulling me closer. The faintest curve touched his mouth, not a smile, but a knowing, like he'd already bet on how this would end. I stopped, close but not touching. The air between us crackling like a live wire. I let the moment stretch. Then he moved one step, no rush, just enough to claim the space I'd left open. And I let him. God help me. I did. No hesitation. No doubt. Just a quiet understanding that we'd crossed into something neither of us would fight. It was like stepping off a cliff, knowing the fall would ruin me and not caring. I moved toward him. He didn't pull back. His eyes stayed on me, steady, present, like he was daring me to break first. We moved in silence, no hurry, until the bed behind him became the natural place to stop. He sat, wordless, hands braced lightly at his sides, eyes never leaving me, watching like he could see the storm building inside me. "Didn't think you'd be the one to lead," he said, voice low, a faint smile flickering, like he was savoring the taste of my defiance. I mirrored it. Slower. I don't wait around. I stood before him, letting the moment breathe. The room felt like it was closing in, the air thick with want. I reached out, fingers grazing his shoulder, sliding along the edge of his sleeve, a touch more grounding than guiding. I pressed lightly, no rush, just enough to set the tone. He didn't move, his posture open, his breath steady but his eyes betraying a hunger that matched mine. A slight shift in his shoulders, a slow blink, like he was daring me to push further. I read every signal, every subtle response. I took my time, letting the silence do its work. The room balanced on a knife's edge. No tension, just focus. Like nothing else mattered but this. Then he raised a hand, not to control but to mirror me, his palm hovering near mine, warm, waiting. I let it meet me, gentle, equal. I leaned forward. Not enough to close the gap, just enough to let him see I was still choosing this, still steering this dangerous dance, step by step, no push, no rush, just a rhythm we didn't need to name. He looked at me, calm, intent, his voice lower when he spoke. "You don't make this easy, do you?" I smiled, softer. "Why would I?" The air thickened, not heavy but sharp, like the moment before a blade cuts. I shifted, blurring the line between us, small, deliberate, my dress brushing his knee like a whispered promise. His fingers grazed the edge of the mattress, still waiting, still watching, like a predator who knew the prey would come to him. Then a voice broke the silence, measured, familiar, closer than I expected. "You're not starting without a proper hello." "Are you?" My heart stopped, caught between desire and dread. I didn't turn right away. The second voice rang low, steady, like a shadow stepping into the light. Then another sound movement. A chair scraped, footsteps, light but purposeful, closing in. They were all coming, the air alive in their presence, pulling me deeper into the trap. I stood still, letting the moment shape itself around me. Ray stepped to my side. Another Eddie moved behind me. Their presence wasn't loud but deliberate, like wolves circling, patient but hungry. Nobody reached out. Not yet. But I felt them, their focus, their restraint, like a storm held back by a single thread. I turned slightly, caught Ray's eyes steady, certain, reading me like an open book he'd already memorized. Behind him, Eddie stood silent, hands in his jacket, eyes locked on mine, like I was the only thing in the world that mattered. The room stayed still, not stiff, just suspended, teetering on the edge of something reckless. Ray reached out, not to grab, just a slow motion, his hand hovering near my chin, close enough for me to feel his warmth, then pulling back, testing me. I didn't flinch, didn't speak. I was done retreating. I stepped closer, fingers brushing Ray's arm, sliding along his sleeve, just enough to feel their stillness, to know I was still in control. They didn't push, didn't interrupt. Eddie's hand drifted near my waist, close but not touching, an offer I could take or leave. Ray watched, his breath slowing, eyes tracking my every move, like he was memorizing the way I burned. I turned to Jack, stepped closer but kept the distance, letting the tension coil tighter. His hand caught mine briefly, held it, then let go, each touch shifting the weight in the room, redirecting the heat. Someone laughed softly. Eddie, his voice low, like a spark catching dry grass. They followed my lead. I slowed, deliberate, letting the moment sharpen. Not from pressure, but from choice. Every move was mine, every reaction theirs. They didn't crowd me, they made space, and I filled it, like I was born for this. I wasn't trapped. I was exactly where I wanted to be. The room pulsed with it, alive, dangerous, mine. I don't know who moved first. Maybe me. Maybe it wasn't one move, but something shared, unspoken, instinctive. The silence broke, not with sound but with closeness, a shift that felt like falling. Jack stepped forward, steady, calm, like he knew exactly what I needed and was ready to give it. I met him halfway, hand on his chest, not to stop him but to anchor myself in the heat of him. His warmth was solid, safe, but laced with a danger I craved. We moved together, slow, steady, in sync. No signals, no leading, just a rhythm we both understood. Behind me, Ray joined, quiet but purposeful, waiting for the space to step into, like he'd been invited all along. I felt the shift before I saw it, the air changing, charged, alive. A hand brushed past me Eddie's. Another touched my arm Ray's. Every move deliberate. Every touch a silent question I answered with my own. No competition, no rush, just balance. I moved freely, choosing what I wanted, when I wanted it. They followed, not to direct, but to meet me, to hold me. A whisper grazed my ear, too soft to hear but close enough to feel, like a secret I wasn't ready to know. A hand rested at my back, reminding me I wasn't alone, that I'd never been alone. The room never felt small. It felt full, alive with a heat that didn't demand but consumed. Their hands met mine, steady, supportive. One lingered near my shoulder, another at my waist, not guiding but holding, like they knew I'd set the pace. I gave what I wanted, took what I chose. No more, no less. For a moment, I closed my eyes, not to shut anything out but to take it all in, the rhythm, the stillness, the quiet fire between us. It wasn't harsh, wasn't greedy. It was balanced. They moved with me, around me, letting me lead, meeting me where I chose. I stayed at the center, steady, held, not overwhelmed, not pulled, exactly where I needed to be. What if you were the one they came for? If you found yourself in a moment like this, would you hold your ground or step forward? Tell me in the comments. I read them all. If this story pulls at you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. More's coming. Thanks for being here.